Good morning, Diane. How are you? Thank you for watching and joining this morning. Hi, Vesta. How is everybody today? The sun is shining brightly here in Toledo this morning. No gray gloom and doom, so I'm very happy. Hi, Linda and Lori. Thank you for being here. I finally, in the description, got around to saying this is a mystery quilt card because every week they've been a mystery. On Wednesdays, I post the what you need to gather and some cutting instructions, but I don't let you know what it is until the next day. So this is a mystery type of project. So we're just going to call these kind of days mystery quilt cards. Hi, Eileen and Gail. Gail, I love it when you say listening while I work. Hi, Sharon, and hi, Kay. Linda, good morning, everybody. So, first thing, you see my new shirt? I don't know how far back I need to get. Maybe I need to stand up a little bit, but it says Bird Nerd. And it's got this cute little bluebird with glasses. And if you get my Barn Quilt Block of the Month card kit, you know that on the front of your envelope, I use the Bird's Eye View stamp set with the bird and the glasses. And this is just so cute. And I have to thank my friends who were all in Shipshewana. I don't know if it was last weekend or the weekend before. It was like right after convention, though. A group of them went to Anna Hellman's retreat in Shipshewana, Indiana, and they had seen this shirt. And this morning, I got a package delivered, and lo and behold, guess what was inside? So I want to thank them for thinking of me while they were off crafting and attending Anna's event. So I just love it. I just can't wait to wear it when I go out birding. So thank you so much, girls. And hi, Linda. Two Lindas like right in a row in the comments. So that is wonderful. Hi, Becky. If you're new to watching, please let us know where you're watching from. It is such a cute gift. I just love it. So I love happy surprises like that. They had sent me a picture of the t-shirt when they saw it there. I didn't know that I would be getting it in the mail. So very, very happy surprise. So thank you, friends. Okay, I was going to show you the front of the new catalog, but it's downstairs, and I'm not going to run down and get that, but I did get my catalog in the mail, and I have to say, when you don't have it in your hands and you're just reading opinions and thoughts of other people who have seen it, you don't know where you fall, right? And everybody looks at things differently. And I have to tell you, once I had that catalog in my hands, I fell in love with it. I didn't even think about anything that I had heard about it. Yes, they have moved some things around. It's not laid out exactly like what we're used to, but it's beautiful and you are going to love it. So I will be finishing my mailing selector by the end of the month. And if you are a customer of mine, you will get that sent to you from Stampin' Up. And I will order some extra catalogs in case someone needs one. So anyway, let's get to today's project. I'm going to flip the camera around. While I'm doing so, please say good morning to each other. This is only going to take a few seconds just so I can rearrange my workspace, okay? Okay, now we just gotta, ooh, I'm sorry. We gotta flip some things around here. There we go. I think I want to get it down a little bit closer. Okay, just one more thing. Okay, how does that look on the computer? Let's see here. Before we get started, I have something laying here beside me that I did want to share with you. Stampin' Up! Carries 12 by 12 basic white cardstock. And I don't know how I didn't... the lighting's a little dark, isn't it? I don't know how... Let me see if I turn this on. Usually we do not have a problem with lighting here. Anyway, usually, you know, I buy all my basic white 8.5 by 11. Being that we make quilt cards, when I thought about, you know, most of them are 2-inch squares, 3-inch squares, 4-inch squares. Well, that is easily divisible, can be divided into 12. So by getting the 12 by 12 basic white, and it's the same weight as the 8.5 by 11, I am not wasting or having scraps left over when I'm cutting 8.5 by 11 down to the numbers that I need. With 12-inch, it's easily to do a 2-inch, a 3-inch, and a 4-inch square. And this is going to go a long way for me, and I won't have those strips left over. So I just wanted to share this with you. If you enjoy making quilt cards and you need that base to build on, I suggest getting a pack of the 12 by 12 because you're not going to have a lot of waste, and you can still get your 4 by 5.25 inch piece for your insert, and you don't have leftovers. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you. And yes, I am using the zinnia paper again. I am going to change my paper next month, but I really enjoyed playing with the zinnia paper, and they were the scraps that I had in front of me. And that's kind of how this whole card came together. Okay? So, yeah, it was because it was white, yeah. And I'm going to just try to enlarge my screen here so I can see your comments better. Good, Dagmar, it's good afternoon where you are, but good morning here. Thank you for joining us. I love that. Hi, Barb and Pamela. So many have jumped on, so I love that. Okay. So this is the host code for the month of March. Gosh, where did March go? Where did February go? Where did the beginning of the year go? We're already going into April. The years just go by so fast anymore. But if you place an order with me, if you would be so kind to use this host code, if your order is less than $150, I would appreciate you using that. And next month there will be a new code. So let's get into today's mystery card. We're going to do some scoring. Am I buffering? Oh boy. Let's see if it catches up. I don't think anybody's calling me. Last week when this happened, it was my doctor's office calling me. Okay, let's do this again. Let's just wait a second here while it's buffering. If you could let me know in the comments whether this is, you know, stalling on your end, I would appreciate it. I've noticed that several demonstrators have been having some issues with Facebook Lives. So if you could let me know in the comments if we're good. Okay, I don't see the buffering. Let's see, do I see my hands? Okay, we're good. Okay, so let's bring in our trimmer. Okay, in the instructions posted yesterday of what to gather, the card base is a 4 1/4 by 11-inch piece of cardstock, and that's half of one sheet. We're going to turn it to the 11-inch side. I want you to score it at 5 1/2. Where's my scoring blade? Score it at 5 1/2. And then I'm right-handed, so I am going to pull this back to 2 3/4. We're going to be making an easel card, okay? Easel cards just show off quilt blocks so nicely. And so we're going to score at 2 3/4. 2 3/4 is half of 5 1/2. So it'll look like this, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to fold it in half and burnish that score line. I like to burnish on both sides. And then I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to fold this flap inward and burnish that again. So it kind of looks like we've got a teepee or a tent. It looks more like a tent when it sits up like this. Okay? And if your easel ever wants to float up in the air like this, if you go back and you burnish that score line again that's in half, look how it helps lay it down. So if you ever get it to where it just wants to fly up in the air, burnish that crease that is halfway, and it helps lay it down. And then you'll be able to move it and place your stopper where you want it, and it'll look really nice. Okay, so let's set that aside for now. See, where do I want to put it? And in the instructions, there were 8 11/16 of an inch squares of basic white. Set aside 4 of those to stay whole. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to set those aside. Now with your trimmer or with your snips, we're going to cut 4 of these on the diagonal. So we're going to cut them in half diagonally. I'm going to use my snips. As long as you get that corner right into your snips, and you can, your scissors cut straight to where you're going to cut to that opposite corner, you can do these by hand. I realize that it's a tiny square. You can also put them in your trimmer to cut, but as long as you can cut from one point to the other, you can go ahead and just use your scissors. Just make sure that you've got a pair of scissors that cut straight and not crooked. So let's do these to these other 4. And 11/16 is 1, gosh, what do we call, is there a name for the lines that on a ruler? It's not like a dash or a, I don't know what to call it other than a line. But 11/16 is 1 line under 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so find your 3/4 of an inch and just go back it off 1. Are these centimeters, milliliters? I don't know. I need to research what each one. I know it's a 16th, right? So, I mean, I really should get my terminology down on a ruler. I'm just really proud of myself that I know what 16ths and 8ths are anymore. Okay, so here we've got 8 half square triangles. And we're going to set those aside. Kathy, thank you for sharing. Hey, Stephanie. Hi, Karen. Hi, Peggy. Good morning, everybody who I might have missed. Hi, Charlene and Betty. Sharon. Yay. Pam, thank you for being here. Okay. So we've got those. I'll put my scissors away and I can put my bone folder away. The other thing that we're working with is we're working with a 4-inch square of basic white cardstock. This is a foundation that we're going to build on. And I had written in the instructions I lay my my foundation on grid paper because I know that this is 1/4-inch square grid paper and every 4 squares is an inch. So that's what I used, was my grid paper to line up an inch, and I just drew a line all the way around so that I have like this diagram right here. We really don't need all this, but the lines do help keep you straight. I had actually drawn this for another quilt block that I thought we were going to do today, and then I changed my mind in the middle of working on the first block and use that picture in what to gather. So we're going to go with it because these lines will help you stay straight. You get into this area here, just keep following, you know, your squares and you'll be fine. But this actually came from a different block, but I didn't want to go back in and have to edit the whole post. So we're going to use it. Now we're going to bring in some 1-inch squares of 4 different patterns or colors of designer series paper, and I had you cut 5 of each. 5 1-inch squares of 4 different colors and patterns. Okay, and move your hands in front. What did you mean, Linda? Anyway, so what I want to do is I want to choose 2 of these that have some pretty good contrast to each other for the first row. I think I'm going to work with, I think I'm going to do it like this, and then purple, and then the orange. So what I'm going to do is for the first row, I'm going to take my first 2 colors or patterns and we're going to glue them down every other square till we get down to the end. So that is our first row on this quilt block. But you know what? That's pretty busy next to each other. I'm going to change those around. And I think I'll bring in the purple instead. It's just I didn't want those 2 busy patterns right next to each other. Yeah, I like this better. I'm going to go this way first. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to move these out of the way. I'm going to get my liquid glue. And what helps is by having the lines drawn on the foundation here, is I can go ahead and I can just lay down some liquid glue all across here. I know if I keep it within the lines, I'll be good. And then I'm just going to lay my square down, and I want to make sure that I'm going out to the edge and up into the corner. And you want to keep all of your squares contained within this 4-inch foundation. Sometimes you might find you have to lay something on top of each other to make it fit, but that's what That's what we're going to do. And I like to run my finger across the top like this because it helps move that outside edge to the inside. Of course, you can always go back and trim off anything that's falling outside of your foundation. But you know, if we can prevent that from the very beginning, why wouldn't we? This is going to hang over just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I am going to make sure that it's in the corner and it's along the sides. I'm just going to rub my fingers like this, help push it into place. And it's going to overlap that previous square just a tad. And you can always flip your paper over to make sure that you're staying within the foundation piece. Okay? Now I'm going to go to the other two colors that are left. And every other one. Basically what I'm doing is if this was a 4-patch, I'm making sure that I have one of each of the 4 colors or patterns in both of these 4 patches. Okay? So we'll go ahead. I'm going to move these out of the way. And I'm just going to kind of guess where that 1 inch is. Make sure that I've got glue to the outside edges. Now we're going to come in and we're going to put down our second row. Now I've noticed that this green square comes past my orange one a little bit. That's okay. I'll know what to do with it when I come in with that third row. I'll just cover up what's hanging down too far. It's forgivable. Sometimes our cutting can vary just a little bit when we put our paper in our trimmer. Again, check your back to make sure you don't have anything really hanging outside. I can deal with any little parts I see, but if it was really noticeable, then I would want to trim it. Now, on the third row, we're going to repeat the first row, but we're going to start with the purple instead of the pink. So I am going to do it like this. So you're just starting opposite, okay? And then on that final row, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to repeat the second row, but you're going to switch them around and start off with your second color, not your first. So I just want to get that up in there. And it's nice to using liquid glue because you have an opportunity to adjust your squares. Although by the time I'm getting to these last ones, that glue is really starting to get tacky. And might not have all the time to switch it around if I need to, but we're okay. Because I already had my pattern laid out before I started putting glue down, and I knew where the pieces were going. And now we can just go to that last row. And I want to start with green. If we have any white showing, this is going to go over that one just a little bit. When we're getting down on our last row, you can always square it up. A guillotine trimmer works really great in that instance because that blade makes that really nice sharp cut, and you can actually like just cut slivers off. If it's not that off, I wouldn't worry about it. Just want to move these a little bit. Okay, great. I could move that and brought that down. See how I have just like a little bit of white on the edge? I am not going to fret about that. Okay, so how did I start? Like that. So here you have your pattern. How's everybody doing so far? Hi, Holly. Hi, Darlene. And hey, Tony, thank you for sharing. So now we have our quilt block. This is a 16 patch if you want to count each square. While we've got these 4 squares left, bring in that 4 by 5 1/4 piece of basic white. This is our insert, okay? This is our insert. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put these leftover squares on point down here at the bottom in whatever order that you want. And we're going to glue them down, and then we're going to flip them over, and we're going to trim off the excess. So here what we're doing is we're just adding some interest to the inside of our card. Remember, you only want to put glue in the area that you're putting down. And I'm just going to try and put my points right on the bottom edge of the insert. That slid a little bit on me. And this really is just kind of guessing as far as like how far apart they should be or whatever. Oh boy. Almost caught myself putting glue down on the whole square. I want to remember that I want to just keep it on point here. Whoops. Slippery today. And then we'll put this one. This is just a little feature to bring those squares from the quilt block to the inside of our card. Okay, just push all that down. So you got something that looks like this. But we're going to flip it over and we're just going to cut off. If you wanted to, if you make another one of these, you could just cut those squares in half on the diagonal. And then you would just line up the bottom. That's totally up to you. But here I have 4 more half square triangles that if I wanted to do another card, I would just use those. Okay, so there's our insert. We'll set that aside, and we're going to come back to our quilt block. Now, those basic white half square triangles that we cut, we're going to use those now. And we need to pay attention to where we're putting these. So they're going to go around the outside edge of our block, but we're not putting any in the middle, halfway, the middle, and either horizontally or vertically. And your point will always point to the inside of your block. Your long edge will be along the outside. And I'm going to go up here in the upper left. I'm going to push this all the way to the outside. And do you see where my point is? It should be right on this line where these two squares meet. So just make sure that the point is right there. We are not going to, we're going to skip this intersection here, and we're going to put another triangle in the upper right. I'm going to turn my block just so that it's easier to manage and hold. And I'm going to put that point on the line. It's on the line. And I'm just going to run my fingers along here to make sure that we're level. And then I'm just going to keep rotating my card, or this block, and continue putting the half square triangles in. Again, we're going to go right around the corner. We're going to skip the middle and go to the other corner and put another triangle down. So just keep doing that all the way around your block. Move that just a skosh. Working with white, try to keep your fingers clean so that you're not transferring adhesive. I know with liquid glue that can be a challenge. So I'm turning my square. I'm going to go right around the corner and add that one. Skip the middle and go to the next corner. Again, skip the middle, go towards that next corner. And we've only got two more square triangles to do. If I can pick them up. Come right around the corner here. Again, skip the middle. Now the block that we're, the block pattern that we're doing today, this mystery, has different names. I found it called several different patterns, but when we're all done, we'll talk about some of the two different names that I can remember the easiest out of this block. We'll talk about those. Okay, so where did I start? I started with my pink up there in the corner. So it looks something like this right now. We're starting to block in and create our pattern by building on top. Hi, Mary Ellen. Hey, Jill. How are ya? Hey, Marilyn, Cindy. Hello, everybody. Bring in your 4 11/16 inch squares of basic white. We're going to set these on point. On point means it's going to look like a diamond. Okay? And where we're going to put that is across the top, come down to where these 4 patterns meet. Okay? And we're going to put some adhesive. Again, remember, we're going to do it on point. And this middle intersection right here, we're going to put those points on all 4 seams. Okay, so that's where the first one goes. Try to make that a little more even. Now come straight down from that one, and we're going to put another square on point right in this intersection. So come straight down from the one that we did, go to that very next 4 patch that's in the middle here. And what's fun about this is that if some of your intersections didn't come out exactly as perfect as you wanted to, then when you were laying your squares out, you might have just covered up one of the intersections that you didn't like. So it's a very forgiving pattern, because when things don't come together, there's opportunity to hide those, okay? Now you'll see here we've got 2 4 patches, and we're going to put 1 square here. We're making a diamond. Okay? So put those 2 in there. And now that you can see a pattern that just emerged, one of the traditional quilt block that I've always, I call it traditional because I've always seen it, was the X block. And you can see the X here. Now, when you put a lot of those X blocks together, like we've done here, I have seen this pattern called the Road to Tennessee. And I am sure that there are more names out there. But that one I can easily remember, and the X block I can remember. My mind is always like on to the next shiny thing. Some information I retain pretty well. Others gets lost when I get involved in the next thing. So I don't know if anybody else ever has that happen to them, but it happens to me quite a bit. I'm going to bring in my adhesive eraser, clean that square up. So here we have our X block, and when you do this more than once next to each other, then this is what the pattern they call the Road to Tennessee. Okay, now what we're going to do is, if you want to, you can add texture and quilt this block. You can leave it alone if you want. I really love the flat, excuse me, I really love the flat look, like a flat paint, but I also love texture. So I'm going to step away over to my cut and emboss machine. I'm going to run this through the 3D folder that's part of the online exclusive, and it's the crosshatch. But I'm going to put, well, here, let me grab that folder. Let's talk about embossing versus debossing. This folder here, when the Stampin' Up! Logo is on the front facing you, if you put a piece of paper in there, right side up, and this square is looking, the Stampin' Up! Logo is looking at you, you're going to get an embossed texture, which means your texture is going to be sitting on top of your piece of paper. I like to deboss. I like to set the texture down in because it reminds me of stitching when you're quilting and putting stitches down. So I like to turn mine over. And then that way, when I run this through, I'll show you the difference in texture. So just give me a second. When I open up the folder, you can see that the texture is sitting on top of the paper. You can feel the raised lines. So that's embossing. But look what it looks like when you deboss. See how the lines are down inside the paper, and to me this really gives the quilting feel, because whenever you stitch or put a quilt, when you're machine quilting or hand quilting, when you lay down a stitch, you create these little pillows in between all those lines, and that reminds me more of quilting than the embossed side. So it's really just a matter of preference. Whatever you like, you do. Okay? Kathy says that the X Block and the Rose to Tennessee reminds Stampin' Up's Inked and Tiled Punch Pack. Yes, I know. I've got that sitting right here. So this is one of the punches from that. You get 2 punches when you purchase this, and here's that X Block right there, and you can get really tiny quilt patterns using the 2. And I was so excited when that punch bundle came out, because I saw something happening with half square triangles and this and that, and creating, I mean, it's less than, oh my goodness, it was really tiny. What is this? Like 1 1/8 of an inch quilt square. Super tiny. I was so excited. So you know that that punch is going to stay in my stash for quilt cards for a long time. So we've got our quilting done on our block. Now we can start putting things together. So okay, before we do that, I had you cut a 2-inch, excuse me, a 2-inch by 4 1/4 piece of cardstock, the same color as your card base. What I want to do is I want to glue the top part of my quilt block down to that, leaving an even border on 3 sides. Okay, so I know this is about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm gonna, ooh, there went the top to my glue. I'm just gonna stay away from that 1/8, just enough. And I'm gonna lay some glue down. And now I'm gonna come back in. I know where I want, what I wanted to be the top of my block. And that's what you want if you've got something in mind that you want to be sticking with. So you have that right there. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring our card base in. Now I could have cut a 4 1/4 inch square and layered this whole block to it, but I didn't think that it was necessary. By putting this piece on the top, we're going to finish gluing it to the front, and you are going to have a little bit of an overlap here, but you can hardly see that seam, and I didn't want to necessarily use another big square. You do what makes sense to you, but I'm just gonna put glue here, and just don't go past the white, and just right along the bottom here, because I know I don't have a whole lot of play what's going to overlap each other. Okay, and then I'm going to come down here to the bottom, make sure that I have a nice even border on the bottom and the sides, and I'm going to smooth up the edges. I'm going to open it up so that I can really give that a good press. And see how now you've got a border all the way around? But I just didn't want to cut up another piece of cardstock just to, when I had a scrap that would work. And then flip it over and make sure no glue came from this outside here. So now that's going to display your quilt block like that. And flip that open. And now let's glue in our insert. Okay. So put our insert in, and then all we have to do is add our stopper. And I'm going to show you a couple of other couple more that I did, and where I added a piece. If there's plenty of empty or space that you could add more designer series paper to really zhuzh this up. So here we have some swatches down at the bottom. We have our card, and I used the double oval punch. The stamp set that was still on my craft table from last week when we did the bunny was that bunny stamp set, so I used You're a Friend Like No Other. This card really came together just with what was laying on my table from last week. So I just went with it instead of digging out everything new. Because once you like the layout, you can go back and pull out different papers and just repeat it. So there's my stopper, but we're going to put 2 dimensionals on the back, because this is going to help keep that easel from sliding down, and it's going to keep your quilt block propped up so that whoever the recipient is can just keep gazing at it. And you just want to figure out where, you know, what lean do you want your quilt block to have. And then I'm just going to center that. And that is going to be our easel. Isn't this just so pretty? You know, this almost reminds me of lattice too when I'm looking at it. The other thing that I want to do is I want to add some embellishments to it. And you can embellish this any way you want. The other 2 cards I'm going to show you, I used some metallic gems and some in color gems, but I wanted to do something different, and I thought, you know what, let's see what these cork rounds would look like. I just think the cork and the flowers, I mean, I just think the elements go really nice together. And so my, I'm going to put one right in the center. Okay, so one's going to go, I mean, it doesn't add any shine or sparkle, but it does add texture. And you know what? We don't know if we don't play, right? So I'm going to go up here to this intersection and put one there. And what I love about this look is it almost looks like, you know, when you have something tufted and it's got a button or something in it to give it that puff. That's what I think these, adding these embellishments do. So it's a little different. I don't know if I'm a fan because it's not blingy enough, but it does add texture, and I do like that. I do like that, but I probably wouldn't do another one like that because I like flashy, blingy things. So let me show you the other two cards that I did. This one, and look how different the block looks when you just change your colors. Okay, I just took other patterns from that same pack of Designer Series paper and used different ones. And here I used the rusted metallic dots there, and that gave it a different look. And then on this one here, when you stand your easel up, I went ahead and I added a 2.5 by 4 inch piece of Designer Series paper that I ran through the same embossing folder. Remember we did this, I don't know, a week or so ago. We actually added texture to the Designer Series paper. So I did that, and then that's where I put my button, because nobody's really going to see the bottom. You could put Designer Series paper, or maybe put another piece of cardstock on the bottom to help protect this. You could put a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of cardstock. It would also give it a little bit more weight. But then, believe it or not, this is the, what is that called? This is the Moody Mauve in color gem. But look how it picks up more pink, and it works really well. So, and look at, here's another colorway for this pattern. So that's the mystery pattern for this Thursday. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, and you know, I can't wait to see what you will create. And if you haven't already, please join the community group called Quilt Cards and More. It's where we share all of our cards, and you can get to that from my main page. If you go to More, there'll be a little tab that says More. If you click on that, I think you can get to groups, photos, videos, if I remember right. But you can get yourself and request to join the group Quilt Cards and More. There's another group on there, but that's my team. So the Chirpy Stampers isn't the group that you're wanting to request to join. It's the Quilt Cards and More. There we share the cards that we have made from the Facebook Live. We also share cards made, you know, while people are crafting and they just want to share something that they created. So you can find all different projects there, but it's a really, really nice community, a lot of support for each other, and a lot of sharing. So like I said, if you haven't joined yet, please do. There are a few questions to answer, just so that I can make sure somebody's not getting in who doesn't really have anything in common with us. Okay, we want people there who are card makers and quilters, and even if you don't quilt or you don't paper craft, but you appreciate quilts and card making, we want to see you there. Okay, so everybody have a very blessed Easter. Easter blessings to all. And I'm on the fence about moving the Barn Quilt Facebook Live, which I have scheduled for Easter Sunday, but at night, but it's 8:30 my time. And I got to thinking, boy, anybody on the West Coast, that's going to, you know, they might still have Easter plans. And we had an opportunity come up that we haven't decided on. So if I do move it to Monday night, April Fool's Day, it's not an April Fool's, just to let you know. It will be for real. I will post it on the Chirpy Card Maker page if it gets moved. I haven't decided for sure yet, but I'll give you plenty of notice, okay? So again, Easter blessings to all, and I will see you either Sunday night or Monday night, okay? So until then, everybody enjoy your day, and we'll be seeing you soon.